Like, just because I know what I need to do to make myself happy, or I know what position I would like to be in, doesn't mean I get to be there, doesn't mean I get to be close. And it doesn't mean that I'm not trying either. It just means that life is so different when you're not in such a defined structure anymore. I think this is what I would call an identity crisis.
What is up, everybody? And welcome back to the Schooling Struggle Podcast. It is our belief that the only guarantee in life is that we are all going to struggle. And how we choose to embrace our struggles is what empowers us to become the best versions of ourselves. How is it going? My name is Pete, coming to you from Heartland, Vermont. And with me, also coming from Heartland, Vermont, as I continue with the former student tour for her third episode, one of my favorite people that graces the planet Earth, Miss Rory Salzano. What's up, Salzy?
Nothing much. Hanging in there.
Rory's hanging in. A minute ago, right before I hit record, I said, how are you feeling? She said, generally, I'm just feeling indifferent. We were talking about that you can't always win. It's tough to replay a conversation you just had and have it be totally authentic. But what did you just say about that? Can you just share with me and the listeners what you said? I realized that I can't always win.
Yeah, I think I'm just realizing as I'm about to move to Fort Myers, Florida on Friday and pay bills by myself that I'm just not going to be able to win at everything, you know? Some moments I'm going to have to sacrifice working more versus having fun. And I think I'm just recognizing it's more of a balancing act than just winning.
So after I graduated college, I retired. I basically took 6 years and lived out of the back of my truck and was a snowboard bum and served tables and scarfed money wherever I could and saved it. And the people around me kept saying for 6 years, when are you going to join the real world? When are you going to join the real world? And that really irked me at the time because people just wanted nothing more than, at least this was my 22-year-old perspective. People wanted nothing more than for me to just stop having fun and to join the miserable real world that they were in, with spinning in the hamster wheel to make the money, to pay the bills, to make the money, to pay the bills. At that time of my life, I was just having so much fun, literally living hand to mouth. I had no cell phone at the time, just not attached to anything, no strings attached to anything financial. It was a really interesting time in my life, and I would just spend the whole day snowboarding in the winter, and then I'd manage a swimming pool in the summer, and the spring and the fall I'd travel. And I loved it, and I just felt so purposeful at that time. It was really interesting to me how people were really frustrated by those life choices. And it wasn't like I owed them money or anything, but people just wanted me to join the real world. And it seems to me that you are kind of on the cusp of this mindset of, I want to have fun and be, how old are you?
19.
Yeah, I want to have fun and be 19 and do things that 19-year-olds do, but I also am going to take this this step into the unknown of, I don't know, quote unquote, joining the real world. And I think that that's an interesting place to be.
I think it's a difficult one, and it's definitely not something anybody ever prepares you for. You just kind of come to it, and then all of a sudden one day you're just thinking, yeah, actually, I probably don't want to work in a restaurant for my whole life, but how am I supposed to know what I'm even supposed to do? And I think right now I'm just stuck in this in this feeling of indifference, because I do love serving and I do love just working and living, but also for some reason that feels like it's not going to amount to anything, and I don't know why I feel like I need to amount to something.
This ties in really well with what I have planned for our conversation for tonight. Frequent listeners to the show know that I've had Rory in school, much like Joey in the last episode, since kindergarten. She's a Heartland kid, and I taught her for all of her formative elementary school years and middle school years, and then I was her advisor for 4 years in high school. So Rory and I have spent a lot of time and had some amazing conversations. And Rory thinks and sees the world in a different way than I do. I'm a 46-year-old man, and she's a 19-year-old woman, and we just come at things with different perspectives, which is why I want her to frequent the show. And I've asked her to come on as much as she's willing to come on. So go ahead and share with us what would be good context for new listeners to know about you before we get into tonight's conversation.
Yeah. So I'm Rory. I'm 19. I feel like I'm definitely older than my age, and that's what everybody's told me for my whole life. And I think that's just because I think of things really differently, and I think that plays out in a lot of different roles in my life. So recently for the past 2 seasons, so the past 2 summers, I've been the program coordinator of a food distribution nonprofit through the Hartford Community Coalition. And I don't know, I just really like to give. I have a sister with disabilities, and she's really opened up a bunch of different pathways where I've got to experience a lot of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And I've understood that it's a really big passion of mine to always help people in every aspect. I think that one thing to know about me is that I work a lot. So for the past 6 months, I've been working, roughly 60-hour weeks. I worked 3 part-time jobs. I've just been saving up to head out to Fort Myers, Florida. I went to UVM in the fall of this year. It didn't work out for me, so I left school and I've been back home. And then I decided I think I need a little bit more scenery. I think I need a little bit more culture in my life. I think if I've really enjoyed experimenting with who I am and what I believe in and where I'm finding these core values and how I'm, manifesting them for myself, I think the only way to be a better person at this point is to broaden the locations I'm at, but also broaden the people I'm willing to meet and the connections I'm willing to forge. Yeah.
It's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Man, there's so many ways I could go with this. I feel like I say this awesome. I feel like I say this often. And so you've spent the majority of your life in our little town of Heartland, which has
It's like 3,000.
0 stoplights and 3,000
Yeah.
people. It does have a post office. And you're getting ready to move to Fort Myers, Florida. What prompted the move to that specific location? If you could have gone anywhere in the United States, why Fort Myers?
My best friend is moving from West Palm Beach, where she's at right now, which is basically just the opposite side on the other coast of Florida. And so she's going over to Fort Myers because there was another location to her school over there. But also, I'm comfortable with change, but I'm not completely comfortable with change. And I think I picked a place where there was somebody that I trusted and that I could do this with, that I could figure out what my young adulthood's going to be like and not be worried. She's my backup. She's a rock. I wanted to be young with my best friend, but I also wanted to be able to explore and not worry. I have time to do things on my own, but right now I didn't want to.
So you can be living with her.
I am, yeah.
Big love to Al.
Yeah.
Rory's best friend. What's up,
Yeah.
Al? I also had Al back in the day and the K through 4 PE classes. So I love to say that life begins when we venture outside of our comfort zones. Like literally when you're born, you're thrust out into this cold, harsh world and you have to start breathing in the most uncomfortable circumstances. And then as we grow and learn about ourselves and the world, life begins when we venture outside of our comfort zone. So I am really psyched for you. I don't think that there's any negative that can come from the situation, because if it doesn't, I put in quotes, work out, you've learned so much. And life comes from challenge and lessons of life come from challenge and hardship. So if you go there and everything's silky smooth and you really enjoy it, that's awesome. And if you go there and it's really hard and friggin' challenging, that's even more awesome, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So congratulations and kudos to you for making this move.
Thank you.
And I'm really excited for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I also want you to remain a part of this podcast team so that we can be in regular contact and we can check in with you and see how things are going down south.
I'm planning on it.
Yeah, it's awesome. As the listeners of the past 2 episodes that you've been on know, you and I have spent a lot of time having deep conversation about all different aspects of life. And I mentioned in my last episode with Joey Beggs, one of your classmates in our Better Than Yesterday class, I just finished a book called The Power of Now by this author named Eckhart Tolle. And he spends a lot of time talking about the ego. And you and I have spent time talking about our egos and egos of other people. And I think it would be a really cool conversation to dive into a little bit. So I want to start the conversation with just a little research I've done regarding Eckhart Tolle and his perspective on what the ego is. I think that the best way that I can set the stage for the conversation is by saying that Eckhart Tolle says that if there is any negativity involved in our lives, anger, resentment, irritation, then in some way, shape, or form, the ego is present. If there is no negativity at all, and there is an underlying field of peace or underlying feeling of peace, then it arises from a deeper place that is not the ego. And the more I kind of think about this for myself and the more I kind of dove into some of the stuff that he was sharing, I realized that a lot of our anger, frustration, resentment comes from our ego. And I'm going to open up the book real quick and read one piece here to kind of get us going in the conversation tonight, Rory.
Okay.
So He talks about how people are actually, whether they recognize it or not, they they love the drama that they bring into their own lives to feed their own ego. So it says that their story is their identity. The ego runs their life. They have their whole sense of self invested in their ego. Even their usually unsuccessful search for an answer, a solution, or a healing becomes part of their ego. What they fear and resist most is the end of their ego drama. As long as they are in their mind, what they fear and resist most is their own awakening. So the way that I read that is, whether you recognize it or not, we have this kind of narrative that we're playing out. And anytime we're not in a mindset or a space of peace, or what he calls consciousness, the ego is feeding into that some way to detract from that inner peace. And basically, kind of the whole premise of the book, The Power of Now, is how can you be present? How can we be instead of be thinking? And what I took away from the book is our thoughts are not who we are. And if we can break away from our thoughts, and even though we're having these different thoughts, to be in the moment, to break away from all of the harshness, the ego, the more we can be present, and being present kind of is kind of the inner goal. I know that I struggle to find inner peace throughout the day and throughout my life. And I think that as I learn more about the ego, I'm finding that like my ego is getting in the way of that. So I just threw a ton at you, like minutes without stopping to take a breath. Curious to know any thought or perspective you have in regard to some of the stuff that I just shared.
I do. I'm glad that you mentioned all of those things because the direction that I went with the questions that you gave me that we had talked about before this went along exactly with that. And how, when I was thinking about specifically like my ego, or what do I think when I just think of ego, period, right? If this is our discussion, was just letting feelings be. And one thing that I really struggle with is not trying to direct them or understand them, but just letting it be. Because I find when I'm doing that, I'm trying to control my emotions because that's vulnerability. And I find that that vulnerability is, at least what I would assume, is relating to when he's talking about when you do that thing you don't want to do, that's breaking down your ego, right? When you dive into that thing that makes you the most uncomfortable, that's you breaking away from these comfortable standards and or coping mechanisms you've put in place to escape the fact that these feelings are uncomfortable, and to not put up walls and to just exist with them how they are is much harder than people assume and feel. And that I think it really does have to do with your ego and how you want to present yourself a certain way. And once you just let yourself feel, you're not presenting anyway. You're just existing.
He talks about the importance of the ability to surrender. And you just talked about surrendering to your thoughts, but also surrendering to like your conditions. So the things, the outside forces around us in our environment, in our world. And how do we not let those get to us? And if those get to us, the actions of others, whatever, somebody cuts me off on the road, somebody posts something that I don't like, the clerk gives me a side eye at the grocery store, like any of these things, if those things rattle me in any way, that's my ego. And if the kind of the inner purpose is to be and to have that level of inner peace where at every moment I'm consciously being present, anything other than that is related to my ego. And when he talks about like our outer purpose, I know like for me, I feel like I have tons of outer purposes, right? Like I want to be this dynamic teacher, and I want to be this fit old guy, and I want to make sure that my lawn looks good. I don't even care that my neighbors see the lawn a certain way. I just want it to have a look a certain way for me. And I really want my shoes to be popping when I walk through the halls of the school. Like all these like outer things, and how we define our own success, and how we judge our failures. All these things are related to the ego, which I think is really, really interesting. I always just thought like ego was like, oh, someone that thought they were really cool, like someone that was not humble. But now I'm realizing like anything that's not being present is in some way, in shape or form, related to my ego, which is a really fascinating and new thought for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm in the same wavelength right now where I'm really realizing I'm the one that's limiting myself from these different experiences, these different people in these different places, is the fact that like I'm not willing to try, or that like I've got these like predisposed notions about it, and just really recognizing that when I go into things with a blank slate really is how I should be entering things. and that I guess I just didn't really realize how much of an ego affected my everyday, I guess, conversations and actions that, I'm distributing into, the world and the society that I'm living with. I just didn't realize how much influence it really had.
Yeah, it's interesting. So like if something like rattles us or gets under our skin, like that's our ego, right? But then you have to be fair on the flip side. Well, if this thing makes me happy, that's my ego too, right? So he goes on to say that the outer purpose is just a game that we may continue to play simply because we enjoy it. It is also possible to fail completely in our outer purpose and at the same time totally succeed in our inner purpose. Almost like if you go down to Fort Myers and things don't work out the way that you hope they do for fun's sake, as long as you're able to live out your inner purpose, it doesn't matter what happens on the outer purpose. Or the other way around, which is actually more common: outer riches and inner poverty, right? Or to gain the world and lose your soul, as it's put in past writings. Ultimately, of course, every outer purpose is doomed to fail sooner or later, simply because it is subject to the law of impermanence of all things. The sooner you realize that your outer purpose cannot give you a lasting fulfillment, the better. When you have seen the limitations of your outer purpose, you give up your unrealistic expectation that it should make you happy, and you make it subservient to your inner purpose. And I think that's the place where I get stuck, is I am just grinding on my outer purpose. And it's just like, if I say my outer purpose is to serve others and it's to help others and to lead and live, love, learn, and lead, inside I have zero inner peace, that outer purpose is never going to happen, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm never going to see or feel fulfillment there. So I'm starting to try to like surrender to both my thoughts and my conditions. Like the stuff that's going on around me, there's nothing I could do about that. So as we've talked about a lot in this podcast, like focus on what you have control over, but this is just kind of giving me a different angle on that thought.
I think where I'm at with that thought is when you think about something so drastically differently than you have before, right? And so now I'm just really recognizing that, like, it's not only I'm looking at my life and what I need to do right in that outer perspective to also satisfy what I'm also feeling from my inner perspective, because the way that I'm thinking about it is I can do everything that I need to do for my inner being. But something is deeply telling me if my outer is not somehow matching that, it doesn't matter what my inner is because I'm not fulfilling it, right? I just know I'm gonna still feel that type of failure. So now I'm having to sit, and this is also partly why I feel like I'm feeling very indifferent right now, is because I'm really having to sit with the idea that life is not what I always expected it to be. And I have actually no realistic idea of what life is supposed to be. And I've got just no like solid foundation right now. So to try and build my outer and inner perspective seems so daunting. It's that idea that when you start something totally new, all you can think about is where am I even supposed to start and what even am I supposed to do?
He talks in the book about like when you are completely like truly present, you're conscious, and anytime you're not present, you're subconscious. Like I wasn't anything but subconscious until basically my 40s. Like I was just doing the thing because I felt like doing the thing and didn't really think about an outer purpose or an inner purpose. So the fact that you're kind of mulling this over in your brain is like light years before, at least where I was when I was your age. My question for you, Rory, is, and I'm curious to know, when you say life hasn't turned out based on your expectations, or things aren't what you expected, I'm curious to know the difference between those two. What was it that you expected of yourself in your life at age 19, and what is the reality, and where's the gap?
I expected that I'd still feel like it was so obvious what the next couple of years were going to be, and it was so obvious what routine I needed to fall into place. I thought, like, and it's true because when you think of that traditional I'm going to college path, right? You already know what that person's life's pretty much going to look like, give or take a couple of activities. And so I thought that that's just how it was going to be, and that I was just going to be able to like mosey on like how I did my 4 years of high school. I was going to do my 4 years of college, and I was just going to be in and out. And it's almost robotic in a sense. Those 4 years are pretty copy and paste. And now I think I'm at where a lot of people are when they leave college or when they graduate and they're done with school, and you realize like it's up to you. And I've talked about this in, I think, the last episode we talked in, and just how I'm making the decision every day now. I have to be the one that figures out well, what type of job do you want to do? Do you care what people care about what you're doing for a job? What are you going to do when monetarily that job's not going to fund your inner perspective that I need to also deal with? Like, just because I know what I need to do to make myself happy, or I know what position I would like to be in, doesn't mean I get to be there, doesn't mean I get to be close. And it doesn't mean that I'm not trying either. It just means that life is so different when you're not in such a defined structure anymore. Life is so complicated and messy and niche to every individual. And so I'm just at this point where I think this is what I would call an identity crisis, where I
I love
know who
your
I am.
transparency. This is why I love talking to you, and this is why I want you to come on this show. Your transparency is fantastic.
I think a lot of people go through it. I think nobody just says it. I mean, when you know who you are as a person, but you don't know what you want to do or how you want to participate in this world, you feel really stuck and you feel like everybody else feels, but nobody's going to say, "Oh, well, how did you fix that?" Newsflash, nobody actually fixed it. They just kind of live with it on a daily basis and finally accept it. And that's crazy to me. Why did nobody tell me that?
So when I hear you say accept it, it makes me think of what I've been working on, which is
Mhm.
surrender.
Yeah.
Right. So like my family and I just went on an amazing trip. We've been planning it for years and saving our money for years. We went over to Europe to watch the Olympics. But when you are traveling in a foreign country, and I mean Western Europe is easy traveling as you're going to find, but you just can't win every
Yeah.
decision. Right. So it's like we overpaid for a couple trains. We overpaid for this or that. And it's like I beat myself up like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we got taken to the cleaners there. Like we should have paid what the locals pay. How did that happen? And it's just like, I can't destroy my trip I thinking I'm going to win every single decision in life. So I'm starting to try to surrender. It is coming to full acceptance with what is happening with the conditions around you. I'm going to take another piece from the book here when he says that conditions can always be positive if you choose to take the mindset. To be more precise, conditions are actually neither positive or negative. They are as they are. And when you live in complete acceptance of what is, which is the only sane way to live, there is no good or bad in your life anymore. There is only a higher good, which includes all the bad as well. And this is getting kind of like off the rails a little bit with like philosophy and stuff. But if I come to accept that there isn't good or bad, or there isn't right or wrong, and it's just there is, and not to say that you're not going to go out and be a role model in your community and do the right thing, or call people out when they're doing the wrong thing, based on your perspective, but not letting those things disrupt your inner peace. So it's like peace doesn't mean that I don't have problems. Peace means that my problems don't have me. I'm really working on trying to recognize that inner peace in me, and how does that play the role in my inner self, and then how does that play a role with all the stuff on the outside that I'm trying to do and achieve and feel successful in.
Do you have a problem with sometimes taking those things too literally?
Taking what too literally?
I think the idea of like just thinking that things just are, right? It's not good, bad, happy, sad, right? Live and let live, right? It just is. I think I I I understand that philosophy, and I understand that thought that you don't have any control, so you might as well just take it as it is. But I think when I try and adopt things like that into my life, I take them so literally. So then I have a hard time accepting if I feel emotional about something, or if I feel like, well, I do think that was bad, or I think this is really good, right? And then you talk about how, like, yeah, this moment, my ego really is influencing the way that I'm feeling. And then to think I'm supposed to just think that it is, sometimes it's hard
Mm.
for me to separate allowing myself to feel and just letting that be okay, however that turns out, and also just registering what's going on, how I'm feeling, being mindful of it, and not letting it be more.
Yeah, where I get stuck is so if I'm truly just at this stage of inner peace, which I'm not, and I'm not
Yeah.
even close. Is, um, so if I'm totally cool with whatever happens, and I don't look at it as good, bad, indifferent, anything, am I just going to end up being like a bystander to my own life? Like, am I going to start to take less action? Am I going to start to have less influence on myself and others? And what this guy's arguing is no. He's like, in fact, it's the opposite. Like, once you have that ability to be there and be in the now, you're going to be much more of an effective person, in what you deem is the most important things. But like, I don't know. Like, if I see someone beating the crap out of somebody else in public, do I just stand there and go, well, that's not good or bad. It just is.
Yeah.
And, so I feel like my thoughts on this are like so on the surface compared to like what he's sharing, kind of the depth of it.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to take away from is surrendering to the things that are outside of my control, and really being at peace with not letting those things get to me, and not toiling too much with the stuff that I do have control in a way that eats me up.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard.
Yeah. I think that finding a balance of anything is like the key to my life, but also the hardest thing to actually learn how to do or live or navigate.
I mean, that's the entire conversation that Joey Beggs and I had on episode 102.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he was talking about, is like, I really, really struggle with the balance. And there's balance in so many ways. Like, there's just on the surface balance, and then there's like the deeper inner balance too. And it's so tricky.
It feels impossible almost. And I think that it feels that way because balance is one of those things where it just is, right? It's not necessarily good or bad. Like of course there is, but when you think about your person's everyday balance, right? How you decide to do your day or your engagement in something, it's not anything but just what it is. And that, I think, is the hardest thing, is that I want the balance to be structure, but it feels like it's not. It feels like it's a guessing game.
For me, it's like, I feel like I have influence over my balance. Right.
That's lovely.
So in that case, I'm not surrendering. Like,
Yeah.
I can influence it. And if I have influence of it, holy crap, like, there's a lot of responsibility there.
Yeah.
And that comes with a lot of excess and internal pressure.
Yeah. I think that takes
Parenting.
a lot of willpower.
In what regard?
I think to be able to influence your balance and not necessarily let your balance influence you, right, is difficult. I think it's also the way that you love routine, right? And routine
Too.
is part of your balance. And so to be able to stick to a routine, right, or to be able to influence your balance by changing your said routine, I think requires a lot of willpower. I think it requires a lot of, no, I really am going to stick to this, and I'm not going to waver in the fact. And I am going to trust the fact that I don't know necessarily what's going to happen, but I better see the outcome.
Yeah. And oh man, that's where I struggle, is like, because I think that I have some level of like power or say over my routine, right? And if I stick to my routine, I'm moving closer to the person that I say that I want to be, right? But at the same time, if I just surrender to what is, am I going to accomplish the things I want to accomplish? And I think the answer is yes, but I'm going to accomplish things I want to accomplish and not be caught up in the frustration and the anger and the resentment along the way. So if I've resolved to get up at a certain time and do a certain thing, and circumstances dictate that I can't do that, I can go with the flow of that and surrender to the fact that that day, that week, that month, I'm not going to be moving myself closer in that outer arena. And I can use it as an opportunity to take that challenge, and I don't know if it's the right terminology, like test myself to see, all right, this thing is not going to bother me. That happened to me. We were in Paris a couple weeks ago, and we got off one train and we were going to get on another train, and you needed a ticket to get through the gate. And Lauren had to go to the bathroom so bad. And she's like, I really need to go. And we couldn't get her to a bathroom unless we went through this turnstile. And we went to one of the people that was working in the public transport, and we're like, well, we need to get a ticket from here to there. He's like, you could do it this, you could get this, you can get this. And he barely speaks English. And he's like, or you could just get the Paris pass, and that'll be the easiest thing. I was like, all right, just get the Paris pass. And then we pay for the Paris pass, and we like just throw the credit card in, and like trying to get her through the turnstile so she doesn't pee her pants in the train station. And I look at Jen and I was like, how much did we just pay for that thing? Like, holy crap. And like for the next couple like days, I'm really beating myself up about crap. Like, if we just taken a breath and taken a look at what we did and didn't just like rush through it, I wouldn't have felt like I lost that, but it's like where I want to be is, all right, that thing just happened. Yep. We overpaid. I learned from it. It's not going to negatively impact any of my thoughts anymore. But like it took me a while to get over that. And I kept like trying to justify, well, Lauren had to pee and we had to get through there. And it's like, and I'm trying to like justify it. Whereas instead of just taking it for what it is, that's a tricky thing for me. So the last excerpt that I have from the book that I want to share tonight is, instead of going into unconscious reaction and negativity, such as attack, defense, or withdrawal, the person who truly can be just lets it pass right through you. You offer no resistance. It is as if there is nobody there to get hurt by anything. That is what true forgiveness is. And that way you become invulnerable. You can't be bothered by those things because they almost pass right through you. You can still tell the person or situation that his or her behavior is unacceptable. So if you're treated a certain way, if that is what you choose to do, but that person no longer has the power to control your inner state, or that situation no longer has the power to control your inner state. You are then always the one in power of yourself. You're not in someone else's, nor are you letting someone else run your mind? Whether it is a car alarm, a rude person, a flood, an earthquake, sickness, something that forces you to lose all of your possessions, the resistance mechanism is always the same. You let it run through you. And I think that's easy to do for the little things, but for the bigger things, it's challenging. And what surprises
Absolutely.
me, sorry, I just cut you off. I'm going to just continue real quick. What surprises me with myself is the big things that I'm able to get over and not let it bother me, like the passing of a friend or a family member. I can accept that nature is nature and everyone is born and dies. But then the little stuff, like overpaying in the public transport in Paris, like, dude, let that go. Go enjoy your vacation. So that resistance, how it creeps up on me is interesting.
I agree, but I also relate. Big things make sense, right? There's such a magnitude of reasoning behind it. And then these small things like I get so frustrated with myself and like my credit card and how much I spend versus like how much I should be spending, and how it's so easy to not buy something. You put it back, but I can't do it. And it's like it's little things like those where it's like it should be easy and it's not, and that's why I get so resentful of it.
What are the things, I'm really curious, what are the things that you buy that in the moment are awesome purchases and shortly after you're like, why did I spend money on that?
Food,
Yeah,
like
like
just like shit snacks.
prepared foods, like stuff that you can eat
Yeah,
in on
yeah.
the spot.
Definitely heavily processed, not good for you in any way, a lot of drive, like, through, but I think the thing that bothers me the most is that I also spend a lot of money on things like clothes that it's just really not necessary, but in the moment, I just think to myself, "Oh my gosh, this would be just so perfect though for, like, this instance," but it's like, I'm never doing that,
Yeah.
and
I keep
if I
clothes for that reason. Like, oh,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
if
yeah.
this one scenario comes up, I will wear this then. But that
Mhm.
scenario hasn't come up in 12 years.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely have, like, hoarding problems, and I've really realized that if I'm packing th only things that can fit in my car to go to Florida is that, wow, I actually I just feel like I have FOMO all the time, I guess, because 'cause I'm just always waiting to just use it in that one opportunity that's never gonna arise.
So when Jen and I spent a year in Vietnam, we got rid of so much stuff.
Mhm.
But everything that we absolutely like couldn't part with, we put in my bedroom at my parents' house in Massachusetts. And halfway through our time in Vietnam, so 6 months later, we're like, can you remember anything that we stored in that room? I was like, no, I don't even, because we don't need it. Like we each packed 2 bags for Vietnam. I'm like, we don't need. So we got back and we're like, why did we keep this? Why did we keep this? Like we got rid of beds, tables, all the furniture, but we kept like, why did we keep this 99 cent spatula? Like little stuff like that. I was talking to the athletes that I trained in the summer the other day, and he's leaving for college. He actually left this morning. He's like, Mr. D, he's like, what do I pack? I go,
Yeah.
honestly, I can tell you from living out of the back of my truck for 6 years, this is what you do. Take everything that you think you need for this first semester in college and put it on your bed, and then get rid of half of it. And once you've gotten rid of half of it, take everything that's still on the bed and do that again. Get rid of
Oh my
half of that.
god.
And that's what you're going to bring. And he's like, I don't know about that. I was like, that's back when I traveled Europe and Australia and all these places. Like I had one little backpack and I didn't need anything more than that. And I learned like I have all this stuff, but I don't need any of it. So yeah, there's your tip right there. There's your takeaway from tonight's show, Rory. Put everything you need on the bed. And if it doesn't all fit on the bed, you got way too much to begin with. And then get rid of
So,
half
I
of
think
it and
that's
then get
where
rid
I'm
of half
at.
of that.
Oh boy.
So I'm not gonna let you off the hook. I want to
Yeah.
know specifically
Yeah.
what are your processed food drive-through
Mhm.
go-tos. Give me
Mhm.
your top 3.
Okay. The spicy McChicken at, McDonald's,
How much does that cost?
4.59, I think.
Okay.
4.59 plus tax, but not
Do you
if
get
you're in
just
New
that,
Hampshire.
or do you get it
No.
with other stuff?
That with, like, a large fry, sweet and sour sauce too. Recently, I've been really into the Oreo McFlurries there, if their ice cream machine's working, but it's been pretty good. And, next up would definitely be, like, just going to the grocery store and buying, like, the individual, like, bowl ramens, like, the microwavable ones.
Oh yeah.
Like,
What
I'm
do those
still
cost
big
now?
into those. The ones that I get are, like, usually $1.99 to, like,
Okay.
maybe, like, 2.19's the highest I think I pay for them.
When I was growing up, those just the little packets,
Mhm.
those were 10 cents, and then the bowls were like
Oh,
40 cents.
dang.
Yeah.
How much money I'd be saving. Oh, you'll actually be really impressed about this one. This one's good because I buy a lot of fruit, but I buy a lot of the expensive fruit that's already, like, pre-cut, like the watermelon strips.
Oh yeah,
So
it's
then you're
like
getting, like, a quarter of a watermelon for 10 bucks.
it's like $6 a pound if you
Yeah.
buy the watermelon,
Yeah.
and it's like $60 a pound if you buy
Mhm.
the sliced watermelon.
And I do it a lot.
That's awesome. So, as we record, summer is about to end for many students and teachers and people who are taking off to Fort Myers, Florida. And I start school in 2 days. And I have been on a little bit of a bender this summer, just like not really been super focused about what I've been eating and kind of letting it go.
Mhm.
And I decided over the last couple of days, like I'm really just gonna like pull the string and like. So my daughter's birthday is August 20th, and then
Mhm.
it's exactly 100 days between my daughter's birthday and Thanksgiving. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go totally clean from my daughter's birthday to Thanksgiving, and then have a bunch of food on Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
So I'm preparing for this 100-day stint, and as I lead up to it, like I'm finding myself eating and wanting a bunch of stuff. My mother-in-law makes these cookies that are sugar cookies with M&Ms in them, and we had a little
Yum.
birthday party, like a family birthday party for my daughter the other day, and she brought a plate. There was probably 30 on the plate, and I think that I ate at least 15 or 20 of the 30.
That's
And
so
my wife
funny.
is like, "You're having another one of those?" I was like, "No, I'm having 2 more." And then, like, right before bed, I was like, "I'll just have 3 more of these." So I've
Yeah.
just been, like, completely off the rails and crushing it. That's my all or nothing personality. It's my greatest strength is my greatest weakness.
Mhm.
But in 2 days after my daughter's birthday, I'll be able to flip the switch, and I'm really,
Mhm.
really excited to get there because I feel horrible. Like, not like guilty. I don't care about that. Like, I
Yeah,
decided
yeah,
to make
yeah.
these decisions, but, like, physically, I feel like my stomach's
Mhm.
gonna bleed. Like, I just
Yeah.
feel so god awful eating this.
Yeah.
I had Sour Patch watermelons the other day,
Oh, those are
and
the
then oh,
worst.
man, and it's like, if you eat 1 too many of those, like, you feel like you need
You
to go to
feel
the
sick,
hospital
yeah.
so bad. And then I got, chocolate-covered cashews, which was kinda cool. Just kinda stuff that I don't normally eat or don't normally buy, but I'm like, "I need to stop
Mhm.
spending my money on this crap." So, I'm excited for that.
Isn't it? It's just like it's such a gateway drug food. Like, oh my gosh.
So true. Yeah, one really good way to save money is not to go to McDonald's.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably pretty good for your health too, I don't know. But
Probably.
the good news is you're going down to the land of all chain restaurants in
No,
Florida. Like,
the
there are
first
no
thing I'm
privately
doing is going out and just getting some snacks that are awful for me.
I love it. Oh, it's so good. Are you driving down?
Yeah, me and mom.
Oh, mom's driving down with you and then
Yep,
flying home?
yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's
Uh,
gonna be epic, actually. I'm so excited to road trip with her.
yeah, yeah. I've made that drive many times because
Mhm.
I lived in Florida for a little bit, and then I went to spring break every year in college down there. I got some good stories of trips down there. So yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time to come just get into a deep conversation before you're getting ready
Yeah,
to go embark on some serious life changes. Um,
anytime.
I always look forward to chatting with you. It's cool to
Always.
do it on the mic for other people to hear our banter. And it's just always good to connect. I'm looking forward to hearing about what's going on down south, and to get you on the mic when you're down there to share
Yeah,
if things are good, bad, or indifferent. No pun intended.
we shall see.
Awesome. Well, for our family of listeners out there, we are incredibly grateful for your ears. We appreciate your time. And as always, we are grateful for your attention. On behalf of Rory Salzano, the soon Floridian, I'm Pete Driscoll. We are the School and Struggle Podcast. We are out.